Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Watchbox, and thank you for following our ongoing coverage of Baselworld 2018. Today we're talking about the novelties, or at least the best of Basel novelties from a brand that means a lot to me. Now, you know I collect Jaeger LeCoultre. They exhibit at SIHH, so I wouldn't have a dog in this fight or a horse in this race if it weren't for Zenith. Zenith, near and dear to my heart with JLC, had a big year, and I am emotionally invested in these watches. So I'm picking my favorites from the 2018 show from the house that's nearest to my heart and owns a special place in my mind. So the bug is planted. Let's break it down. Okay, having endured a series of reboots and at least 5 CEOs since 2009, Zenith has been among the brands most in need of traction, identity, and word of mouth over the last decade. In other words, Zenith needs to have a big Baselworld in the blockbuster sense, and I'm happy to say, based on the 3 watch families I'm going to show you, they mostly delivered. Okay, first and foremost, the flagship, the show stealer, the Zenith Defy Zero G. This is the flagship of the 2018 Zenith novelties, and let's hold that image for a moment because this watch has a rather long origin tale. Look at 6 o'clock on that dial. That is the pièce, or perhaps the 100 pièces de résistance. That is the gimballed escapement. We're going to talk more about it. Now, this is a movement that was originally previewed in 2009 in a previous life under Thierry Nataf, the somewhat infamous design director, president, and CEO of Zenith during the 2000s. It was then the Defy Xtreme Zero G Tourbillon under Nataf, and that's what it looked like in its first go-around. Okay, relaunched as the Christophe Colomb with a more formal and genteel sensibility in 2010 after yet another brand reboot under Jean-Frédéric Dufour, the watch was perhaps more elegant and wearable, but you'll note the immense sapphire bubble at 6 o'clock. Well, it has a corresponding bubble on the reverse side at the same position. It was a little bit awkward, even though the mechanism was beautiful. So now here's the thing. The ball stops rolling and the bubbles disappear this year with 4 Zero-G models for 2018. Get a good look at them. You can see the material and bracelet strap options. All of them sport what can only be described as the new look of Zenith, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. So all versions feature the extraordinary gimballed escapement that retains a constant orientation with respect to gravity. Now, it's not precisely a tourbillon. What it is more like the escapement of a marine chronometer from the 19th century, which, along with the entire watch at the time, would be on a sort of stabilized multi-axial carriage. What it does is it maintains one orientation with respect to gravity, the best orientation, so that gravity will have a minimal impact on the timing of the watch, even as the wrist changes position. So here's how this kind of goes down technically. It is still an El Primero, but we're calling this an El Primero caliber 8812S. Manual wind in this case. It retains the 10 beat per second, 5 Hz, 36,000 vibration per hour beat rate, and roughly 50-hour power reserve. It has a power reserve indicator, which you can see at about 9 o'clock on the hour and minute subdial. You can see it on the blue reference ring at the top of this watch. That is a power reserve indicator that allows you to get a better load of the watch's remaining autonomy. Now here's the other thing. The gimballed escapement at 6 o'clock is now 70% flatter, so you no longer have those sapphire bulges on the top and bottom of the watch. The one on the top was always manageable, but the one on the bottom rubbed people the wrong way, quite literally in most cases. Now, no more. The escapement and the carriage flat enough that there's no bulge in the case on either side. Moreover, all are 44mm cases, red gold or titanium, and all are 100 meters water resistant. So while this is an haute de gamme complication, it's not a dainty dress watch like the Christophe Colomb. This is designed to be worn anywhere you would wear a Rolex Explorer, a GMT, or your Seamaster. I'll also say this. There are 4 Zero-G models, which we saw a moment ago, and the 4 Zero-G models are quite reasonably priced for what is an entirely hand-executed complication. Now, we're not talking cheap watches, as the entry-level price is $99,800 for the titanium example on the strap. $100,000 $800 for titanium on a bracelet, which might be the most versatile watch of the group. $115,900. Now we're talking the gold on a strap, the red gold. And finally, $131,000 if you've got to go all out and go full sunset strip and get red gold on a red gold bracelet. Now beyond that, I like this. It's Zenith at heart, even if the style is admittedly LVMH corporate, sharing a good deal with Tag Heuer and Hublot. The key thing that sets this apart from the Defy El Primero 21 and the Defy Lab, in my mind, is that this movement really is Zenith's. It wasn't imported from Tag, it wasn't imported from Hublot, so while the look is a little bit corporate, the movement, the heart, the soul, the raison d'etre of Zenith, now and forever, is the movement, and this movement is Zenith, so I like this watch. Now, the Zenith Defy Classic 41mm is for those who have perhaps a smaller wrist and certainly a smaller budget, but it's a versatile, handsome watch. This one, both in mechanics and in style, feels more Zenith to me. So here's what you're looking at right here. A true Zenith in size, proportion, and understatement when equipped with the solid dial. It's more of a modern sports watch for modern tastes in its open dial variant. The open dial variant, again, having more of that LVMH corporate look. And if you look carefully, you can actually see that the underlying components of the movement have been PVD blackened so that they stand out better. Now, at 41mm in titanium, the Zenith Defy Classic 41mm seems to draw upon the reserved and understated Zenith design sensibility, if not the exact shapes, of the 1990s. And original Zenith Elites and El Primero Chronomaster watches from that period were solid, timeless, understated, discreet, versatile watches. I will also say this, the new Defy Classic effectively channels the case lines and proportions of the 1970s Zenith A384 and A385, and you can really see the family resemblance quite well here. Although it does have a lot in common with Hublot and Tag Heuer, nevertheless, we're still looking at a shape that really is Zenith's own, even if perhaps others have appropriated it in the modern era. Now, a solid dial collection is available and features 3 models. You can see it on rubber, you can see it on leather, and you can see it on a bracelet. At the same time, the likely volume sellers will be the open dial collection. If these seem a bit, the open dials, a bit maybe Hublot, Classic Fusion, Aero Fusion, or Tag Heuer, and you can see as we look at both of those families, there's definitely a resemblance with the open dial. Nevertheless, this is no coincidence. They all share a big tent and common design input within LVMH. The open dial Defys, of course, featuring that blackened contrast underneath the dial, and you can see where that idea comes from too. All the same, all models feature a titanium 41mm case with 100-meter water resistance and a Zenith Elite Caliber 670 or 670 SK skeleton for the open dial variant. 100-meter water resistant, automatic winding. Of course, you get a bi-directional quickset, which is a nifty refinement you won't find on any El Primero. 50-hour reserve de marche, and pricing that is accessible. $5,900 to get the watch on a strap, $6,900 to get the watch on a bracelet, and that's with solid dials for both of those. Open worked dials, you're going to pay a little bit more, but not much. $6,500 for an open worked dial on a strap, and $6,700 for open worked on a bracelet, the model that you're seeing alongside right there. So this collection tops out at under $7,000. And at that price, we're talking a very compelling price proposition, especially since, again, this one feels more like it's Zenith from inside out than anything else in the collection this year. Okay, a little bit of a quirky, offbeat collection is the Swiss Beatz collection, sort of a sub-family within the Defy line. Following last year's initial collaboration, Zenith has rolled out a small model line co-branded with Zenith endorser, New York native Kasim Dean, better known as the American recording artist Swiss Beatz. Now, the most polarizing piece is the original iced Defy El Primero 21 in white gold with diamond-paved bezel, case, and lugs. I'll also say, probably more appealing, now this is, you're going to see, I believe, 5 of these in a limited series. More appealing is the white ceramic Defy El Primero 21, which takes a lot of the essential cues, but removes the skating on ice aesthetic that, frankly, even I can't get on board with as a Zenith superfan. Now, both models, white gold and white ceramic, and I believe they're making 25 of these white ceramic examples, will feature 44mm cases with 100-meter water resistance, hybrid rubber alligator strap. You can see white rubber underneath, orange alligator on top. It's a little bit like an Hublot strap in aesthetic and construction, but the good thing is it's also like an Hublot strap in durability and comfort. And you'll see Zenith Caliber 9004 here. That is the dual escapement, dual power reserve, automatic winding sensation from last year that actually has a 360,000 vibration per hour chronograph with its own separate movement within the case that beats at essentially a rate that allows you to measure down to 1/100th of a second. Of course, the water resistance remains intact, 100 meters, but the flagship of this line, and I don't have actual production figures for this one, I'm assuming it's going to be on request, will be the new Defy Zero G Swiss Beatz. Now, I showed you the Defy Zero G a moment ago, and this is perhaps the most extroverted version of it. But the watch is wearable, handsome, comfortable, and 44mm manual wind with the caliber 8812S with a 50-hour power reserve and a power reserve gauge on the dial. It gives you the same functionality, and there's nothing that's overtly co-branded here. What I like about it is that if you're into the color scheme and the design, as well as the engineering, there's nothing to say, hey, I'm a fan of a New York rapper. Now, again, I'm partial to New Yorkers, but as with automotive co-branding, couture co-branding, and celebrity ambassadors, sometimes you just want the style of the watch without having to adopt a personality. All of that said, the world needs more orange watches, and color takes well to the new look of Zenith in 2018. These are bold watches to be sure, but each is a compelling alternative to rivals that range from in-house competition at Hublot to haute de gamme sports watch options from Richard Mille and Audemars Piguet. Now, honorable mention real quick. This is sort of an evolution of a watch that came out last year, but I appreciate the innovation. As you can see, two versions of the Pilot Type 20 Extra Special in bronze, one with a black sunburst, one with a gorgeous blue sunburst in metallic, two attractive 40mm bronze-cased pilot's watches, an actual wearable size with handsome dials. The style in the bronze, and I'm saying the pilot watch with the oversized crown and the bronze case, could rightly be said to pander to a early 2000s sensibility. There's something very 2013 about these watches. Nevertheless, they are handsome and objectively desirable. Elite Caliber 679 does yeoman duty, 100-meter water resistance, automatic winding, 50-hour power reserve, and hey, the crown might be a little bit fatuous, but it's going to be easy to wind. So all told, no pricing yet, but if it's 10% more than the equivalent watch which came out last year in steel, we're still looking at a watch that registers under $6,300. Again, Zenith working effectively at the top and the entry level in its model range this year. Handsome watches, probably something for everyone. This feels like a big Basel for Zenith. 2017 was flat, and I mean flatlined like a hospital bed in the ER. It was pretty bad. I didn't sense the energy, the passion. I didn't feel a direction. It felt like a brand in transition. Now, like it, loathe it, or perhaps waiting to decide, the brand has chosen a path, and frankly, I think I could learn to love it. Thanks, I'm Tim. This is Watchbox. Continue to follow us for our Baselworld 2018 coverage, and if you haven't already, subscribe.